Making a simple slit with a bias cut band in, for example, a sleeve before you add the cuff, you have to cut the slit you want, and you have to cut a bias band, and it's important that it's bias cut because the band has to be a little bit elastic. Now I do this by placing my band here on the wrong side of the sleeve and sew it 1/2 centimeter. Somebody find this to be really difficult, but let's see. I sew near to the bottom of this slit up here, because now I have to turn this, so I sew it all in one. I start stretching a little bit and make sure there is no folding at your sleeve, and just one stitch, so I can turn it slowly around here in the corner. And here it's nearly impossible to use pins because they will just be in the way, so you can't sew it properly. And all the way down, and now if I look at it, you'll see there is no foldings up here, and it looks a little bit odd because I can't do anything. There is some sewing here. Now I take my scissor and cut into this a few places, because then it's possible to have it in a straight line. Now I'm going to go and iron. I do that by ironing to the center and then down. So you see, now I ironed it. First of all, remember, this is my back side. I'm working from the front side now. So I ironed it and fold it so it covers my stitching. And now it is possible, if you need it, to place some pins. Because we make the cutting, it is also possible to kind of stretch this so we can sew it all in one with no foldings at all. So we place it all the way. Remember, when you cut your bias band, cut it a little bit longer than your slit, because it can be quite difficult to know the length exactly because you're stretching. Now you see, I got it like this, and now I can sew it and close the edge, and I do that as usual, just 1-2 millimeter from the edge. And because I make those cuttings, it's possible to do it in one. Again, do remember, the reason why I do it from the right side is that top stitches are always nicer at right side than on left side. Doesn't matter which machine, there is a slightly different. And now we actually got our slit made. Now of course this is as it is here, it's used for a cuff later, and I don't want this to be sticking out. I want it to be a kind of invisible. So I turn it around, and on the back side I need a little dart to assure that it is being held on the right side. So I sew a dart here only in the bias band. Don't touch the sleeve, because then you'll get a little folding. So just sew a small darts here, And you'll see now it's possible to keep it on the back side. Again, if this were for a cuff, I know the long part of this is always buttoned to the back side, which is the small one. So just to make sure I do it right later, I fold this, because then it's going to be like that when it's closed. So actually it's a little bit invisible. Again, to help myself, I just make a few stitches to keep it. And I got my slit with a bias band. And it's time to put in the cuff. As a lot of things, if you do it professionally, you got to do this before you close your sleeve, because things are much easier if it's flat than instead of you've got to go into it. But if you have everything as flat pieces, it's much easier, and it's more professional, and it's more like production. Did you like what you just seen, and do you want to learn more? Then subscribe. I'll constantly develop and upload new things, all based upon the professional way of sewing. All the best from me, and good luck with your work.